So you ever wonder how people can just generate insane strength simply by holding one position? It's not just about brute force, it's about mastering the right angles. And if we're getting isometric training wrong, we could potentially be leaving massive gains on the table. Today we're going to break down the science behind isometric angles and how we can use them to unlock serious strength. Let's get into it. So for those newer to the channel, isometric training is all about building strength without movement. But most people don't realize that the angle you choose can make or break your progress. Holding the position at the wrong angle could be limiting your gains, while the right one can supercharge your strength development. So it doesn't matter if you're using calisthenics, weights, or specialized equipment like the Isometrics you see me use on the channel a lot. Understanding how angles affect muscle activation is the key to maximizing results. When we hold an isometric position, our muscles engage without shortening or lengthening, creating high levels of tension. But here's the catch. Strength isn't gained equally across all angles. Research shows that isometric strength increases the most within 15 to 30 degrees of the position you're holding. That means if we're training at a suboptimal angle, our strength gains might not carry over to where you actually need them. Think about a squat hold. If you stop too high, you're not challenging your deepest range. If you stop too low, you might not be building strength where you struggle the most. The key is to identify your weakest point in a lift. You've probably heard this term before, the sticking point, and train your isometrics there. This is going to make sure that we build strength precisely where we need it. But there is more. Leverage plays a huge role in how difficult an isometric hold feels. The longer the moment arm, the more force is required to maintain a position. This is why holding a bicep curl at 90 degrees feels much harder than holding it near the top or bottom. If you want to maximize your isometric training, we need to experiment with different angles and find the one that provides the most resistance while still allowing you to hold attention. That is exactly where strategic programming comes in, by the way. Holding an isometric at multiple angles, also known as multi-angle isometric training, can help fill in strength gaps and create a more well-rounded level of strength across a full range of motion. Now, before I give you two examples of how I've used this in my training, I want to address the elephant in the room, because about a minute ago, you probably heard me just say that isometrics increase strength the most within 15 to 30 degrees of the trained angle. One of the oldest isometric myths is that you only got strength at the angle you trained at, which according to that myth meant that if you train your bicep curl here, you get 0 here, you get 0 here, you get 0 everywhere except only the angle that you train. That has been debunked. That doesn't even make any sense if you really think about it. As a matter of fact, I have a video on that which you can see right here, and I cover that ad nauseum so that you can be properly educated as well. The key takeaway is that we get most of the benefit here and a spillover of 15 to 30 degrees in either direction of that train angle. So it doesn't mean that you get 100% of the gains here and 0 everywhere else. It means you get the most here and you still get gains here and here, just not as much as here. And that applies to literally every movement. This should be good news for you, because now you know how to train your sticking point, and you know that if you train that, you're still getting strength gains at other angles. Seriously, go check that video out. It's really good. Speaking of which, if you've been sleeping on isometric training, it's time to wake up, because understanding and mastering the right angle training can make night and day differences in your strength gains. Don't just hold a position randomly. Train at the angles where you're weakest. Manipulate leverage to your advantage and use multi-angle strategies to cover all the bases. Do this and you might end up unlocking strength you never even thought was possible for you. Go apply this to your training. Let me know what the results are in the comments below. Remember, give it 90 days, not 30, 90 of serious training, and you will see the results. Now, you just heard me talk about isometric myths. Angle specificity was one of those myths. There are actually a lot of myths about isometrics. So if you want to see what they are and how some of them are debunked and some of them are true, then you want to check out this video here, and we'll see you there.